I'm your host, Dr. Amanda, and if you're a coach, expert, or business owner, you're in the right place to learn law of attraction strategies that will help you take productive action to manifest rapid business growth. And in today's episode, you'll learn 3 reasons why radical responsibility manifests business success fast. Robert Anthony says, when you blame others, you give up your power to change. When you blame others, you give up your power to change. And blame is the opposite of radical responsibility. So that's what we're going to be breaking down today. I want you to think about this. How often do you blame other people or your past, an event in the past, a person in your past, for where you're at right now in your current state, in business, in finances, in relationships, in anything in your world? How often are you looking to blame somebody? Or are you a person who's radically responsible? That's really going to be what determines your future success. Because when you are a victim of your history, you can never be a master of your destiny. That's what Dr. John Demartini says. When you're a victim of your history, you can never be a master of your destiny. And these 2 quotes really shaped my thinking about radical responsibility. And they caused me to create my first company, which was NFA Money, or NFA, which stands for no fucking around. And this NFA attitude is about radical responsibility. It's about, am I radically responsible for my outcomes, or am I blaming other people and wanting to scapegoat responsibility and say, well, they're the reason that I'm not successful? And this is wild because, my entrepreneurial journey started one night when I was on the floor crying. I had left my 15-year marriage having an affair, and my next relationship wasn't working. And so he had moved his stuff out of the basement, and I was scanning the basement, like looking around at this empty basement, crying and just going, oh my God, my life is a total mess. I had 3 kids. I was in grad school. I was already working an extra job, and I was on food stamps. And I was scared. I had spent the day looking on Craigslist for places to live, and I couldn't find anything that I could afford because I lived in a really expensive area. And my graduate income was very low. And even with working another job, I still was barely making ends meet. And so here I am thinking, who can I blame? Whose fault is this? And as I was scanning my history, I had this epiphany moment where I was like, oh my God, it's me. I'm the reason this is happening. Because in every scenario that I looked at in my history, I was involved in that scenario. And I realized, I'm in it. I'm the common denominator. And it was such a powerful moment for me because I realized I have to do something to change. I am ready to do something different because I'm so tired of feeling bad in relationships and bad at money. And, I felt embarrassed and shame and guilt. And at the same time, I wanted to blame my ex-husband, and I wanted to blame my parents, for the way I was raised, and being a woman and being a minority and being raised in a religious family. And I just was looking for everyone to blame. How can I blame my childhood trauma and just anything except for taking ownership myself? And this moment, I didn't know it so powerfully right at that moment. When I look back at how important that moment was, the decision to be radically responsible is what changed everything for me. Because from that moment forward, I attracted opportunities to grow. And I attracted opportunities to learn about myself. And I started to see everything in my history through different eyes. It's like in sociology, we used to have this fun exercise I would do with my sex, gender, and society students where we would talk about putting on glasses that were like gender-based lenses, where you put on, these certain set of glasses and you see the world a certain way, but then when you take them off and get a new prescription, you can see the world in a different way. So you see gender differently, and you see interactions sociologically differently. And I really think about this with radical responsibility glasses. When you take off your victim glasses and you decide, I'm going to be radically responsible for what I create, and I put on these radical responsibility glasses, everything that you see now is this lens of going, oh, I had a part in that, and I had a part in that, and I created that. And this isn't to beat yourself up, because a lot of times when people think, oh, I'm not blaming the outer world, now I beat myself up. That's not going to help either. It's not that you want to go from, oh, well, I'm not going to blame events or people from my past. I'm going to take radical responsibility. And now I beat myself up and I make myself feel shame and guilt and embarrassment about what I've created. No, these glasses that you're going to put on from here on out with radical responsibility lenses are you deciding and committing from today forward that you are going to be the deliberate, conscious creator of your reality. Whatever's happened in the past is impossible to change. Go back to that quote, when you're a victim of your history, you can never be a master of your destiny. And I know that what you want is mastery of your destiny, right? What that means is that you write your future. And when you blame others, you give up your power to change. So what that means is when you are radically responsible, you have all the power to change. That is what we create from inner power, right? When we have inner power, we decide, I am radically responsible. I am a deliberate creator of my reality. I drop the shame, the guilt, the fear, the judgment, and I create a positive force of magnetism for things that are awesome coming into my reality. And it takes this step here. This is really critical to adopt a state of being of radical responsibility. And I'm going to give you some questions to help you dig into that. But first, let's talk about 3 reasons why radical responsibility manifests business success fast. And so when we're thinking about manifestation, number 1, radical responsibility means that you are aligned with universal laws. And what I mean by this is that it is an impossibility to have somebody else control your reality. You are the creator of your reality, and it starts with your vibrational frequency, which is set by your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, and then you start to take action based on those thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, and that's what you magnetize towards you. So if you are in a state of blaming other people or past events, or even blaming yourself for your current reality, it means that you are in a state of guilt and fear and shame and judgment. And so when you're in that state, that's the vibrational frequency that you are attracting from. So your point of attraction is going to be things attracted to you to continue to blame and feel victim-minded about. And so if you think that you can blame other people and get a positive result, that's an impossibility. So now you get to choose to be radically responsible and align with universal principles and know that you're the creator of your reality and say, okay, I choose to be the conscious, deliberate creator of my reality from today forward. And so now I have that magic wand to decide what I want and step into that fulfillment of it and the manifestation of it, because I'm not going to be looking to the past to blame people or events or myself for what I'm currently getting. Does that make sense? I really want you to dig into thinking about this today. Who or what am I blaming for my past, for my current experience? Who am I blaming in my past or present for my current experience? And when you start to dig into that and you really pick it apart, you will notice, whoa, I've been pretty victim-minded about my current reality. Unless you are a 10 in your current reality and you're like, everything is awesome, then you aren't in a state of blame. And that evidence will show that, because life will continue to flow. Business will continue to grow. You will manifest business success because you're not in a state of blame. You're in a state of radical responsibility about being aligned with universal principles and knowing that you're the creator of your reality. Okay. Number 2, the second reason that radical responsibility manifests business success is that it reframes judgments of shame, fear, guilt, anger. So on the vibrational scale, the very lowest vibrations are shame and guilt. And when you think about blame, shame and guilt are the predominant emotions. So either you are shaming yourself because you're blaming yourself, or you feel angry at someone else, which puts them into a state of guilt. And so you're thinking they're guilty of this, which is guilt, or I'm guilty of this and I'm a bad person, which is shame. And so obviously this is going to cause future fear because you are coming from a state of guilt and shame. And as you move up the scale, you could move into anger. And that is actually a good thing. When you start to get angry about your history, you can start to feel the movement out of shame and guilt. Shame and guilt is so low that it causes a lot of stagnation in your actions. Fear will start to cause some movement and momentum. You can actually create quite a lot out of fear. And similarly with anger, you can start to move in a different direction. So none of these are bad things. They're just evidence for you to start thinking, am I operating from a place of shame and guilt, fear and anger. And if I am, I'm not in radical responsibility, because what radical responsibility would look like is that you're dropping those judgments, you're shifting from blame, you're shifting out of victim-mindedness, and you're saying, okay, I choose to be the master of my destiny. I choose to have the power to change. And so every time I recognize that I'm in a state of shame and guilt and fear and anger, I'm going to ask myself, who or what am I blaming? Why am I blaming them? How can I take radical responsibility? How can I see this from different eyes? How can I start to shift my energy in a different direction? How can I start to own my power and take actions in the direction of my success to rapidly build my business? And of course, this could be overlaid on anything in life. It's not just about building your business. This could be in relationships. It could be with your money. It could be with your own personal growth and development. So radical responsibility is going to reframe your vibrational frequency. So when you decide to be radically responsible, you step into a higher state of vibrational frequency, which now means you can attract from a different energy. You can attract from inspiration, a sense of power, a sense of courage and confidence. And so think about how radical responsibility equals courage, confidence. Now you attract from that vibrational frequency, and now your business can grow quickly and you can find success because you are being responsible instead of blaming and justifying and saying, well, it's not successful because of so-and-so in the past, or because of this event in the past, or because of whatever it is that you're making up in your mind. That's easier to blame instead of taking radical responsibility. Number 3. So the third reason why radical responsibility manifests business success fast is that it creates an energy of positive magnetism. And the reason I say positive magnetism is because you are always magnetic no matter what. It's not that like, oh, the universe is to blame for bringing you bad things. You are the creator of your reality. It's your vibrational force. It's what you're putting out into the quantum field that's getting attracted back to you. It's not, oh, well, the universe just doesn't like me. The universe is neutral. The universe doesn't say, oh, that's good or bad for you. It just sends you whatever you are vibrating at energetically. So if you're in a victim mindset and you're blaming people, you are attracting negative magnetism, which means you're going to be attracting struggle, fear, things to be upset about, things to blame. It creates drama. It creates, I think of you as being a crap magnet. When you are in a state of attracting from blame, you attract things to complain about. So you're a crap magnet. And I used to think of this when I first started doing this work, and I was like, wow, I started to see some really quick shifts in what I was attracting and what I would think about. And I realized, oh, wow, the reason that my life used to feel like a shitstorm is because I was a crap magnet and I was attracting drama. I kept complaining about my reality, and I wanted people to feel sorry for me because I was stuck in that victim mindset. I call it a super victim mindset. It was like, oh, feel sorry for me, poor me, poor me, poor me. And then I'd complain about my situation, and then I would attract drama. That would give me more to complain about, and my life sucked. And so I always think of it as this shitstorm that just felt like I could never get out of it. And it was survival mode, and it was beating myself up and negative self-comparison, and it felt bad. And so when I started to take ownership of my life and I realized, oh, I'm the common denominator of all of these negative things happening, then I started to gain power. And as I started to gain power, I started to notice that I would attract positive things into my reality. And then the more that I attracted positive things, the better I felt, the less I complained. And it all started from within me deciding first, okay, I'm going to stop complaining. I choose to stop complaining. So every time I would notice myself complaining, I would stop right there. I would recognize, I would use my inner power formula, which I hadn't named it that at the time. But looking back, I go, this is exactly what I did. I used the inner power formula to number 1, recognize, number 2, reframe, and number 3, I would repeat to reprogram. And it caused me to create a completely different reality. And now when we're thinking about business and money magnetism, I can create money magnetism when I'm in a state of flow and I'm in a state of radical responsibility, when I'm focusing on my wins instead of beating myself up about anything from the past or beating other people up about anything that's happened to me. So radical responsibility creates an energy of positive magnetism. So instead of creating that crap magnetism where you have resistance and low money flow and frustration and challenging relationships and challenging, we could say intimate partnerships and friendships and work relationships, just, challenge all the way around. When you start to own your power, drop your victim mindset, step into a state of radical responsibility, you create an energy of positive magnetism. And this is when you get to be in flow. I think of the difference between fear and flow is that in fear, you are projecting into the future expectation of awful results. So when you're in a state of fear, you're making up stories about bad things happening and you create that reality. When you're in flow, you are faithfully looking for opportunities to win. So you're looking into the future going, ooh, I can't wait for these opportunities to happen. And it creates positive magnetism. So in flow state, you are radically responsible. You own your power. You project that out into the world. You magnetize success back to you from being radically responsible. So let me give you 3 questions to help you consider how to get into radical responsibility. So these are questions you can ask yourself, and you know that I'm big into journaling because radical responsibility requires that you know yourself well and you unblock your unconscious belief system, which journaling is one of the most powerful, simplest tools that you can do. If you haven't checked out my Law of Attraction for Entrepreneurs program, just go to lawofattractionforentrepreneurs.com, free trial, and it'll give you 90 lessons that include questions to help you with things like we're talking about today. So free trial, lawofattractionforentrepreneurs.com. Okay, so for today's 3 questions to be radically responsible, ask yourself this first. What role have I played in creating and maintaining the current situation in my business? What role have I played in creating and maintaining the current situation in my business? So you can see how this question is going to help you start to shine the light on your part in what's happening. And when you own 100% responsibility, it doesn't mean that other people don't have responsibility. It means that you're owning your part. Each relationship takes 100% radical responsibility. So it's not like, oh, I've got 60% responsibility and you've got 40. It's 100, 100. Everything is co-created. So everything you're creating in your own business is 100% your responsibility. Everything you're co-creating in relationships with other people is 100% responsibility for each person. There's lessons for everyone in all of these things. It's not that, oh, this person is bad and wrong and evil and guilty and I'm over here standing up on a pedestal and I'm great. You would never have attracted that situation into your reality if you weren't matched at a resonant frequency with that person. So you're radically responsible for attracting into your reality situations. So you want to ask yourself, what role have I played in creating and maintaining the current situation? That way it gives you insight into recognizing, so now you can choose what to reframe in yourself because you don't control other people, you control yourself, and then your outer world changes. So if you are ready for bigger success in your business, just ask yourself, what role have I been playing in creating and maintaining the current situation in my business? I really love this question, what must I believe to be true to keep getting these outcomes? What must I believe to be true to keep getting this outcome or these results? So just ask yourself these questions. Another great question. How can I change my actions or mindset to better my business situation? How can I change my actions or mindset to better my business situation? This is a reframe question. So you're asking yourself, okay, first you're recognizing what role have I played, what really needs to be changed. Then what can I do to change it is a reframe. And so when you ask yourself this, you are giving yourself information about, okay, well, what if I changed my schedule? What if I started time blocking? What if I started tracking my money so that I could have appreciation happening? What if, I could go on in the list. Go back and listen to many of my episodes that will help give you habits and strategies to grow your business more effectively. So what can I change, or how can I change my actions or mindset to better my business situation? And then a third question could be, what positive energy can I bring into my business to attract success? And I like to add today sometimes when I'm journaling on things, so it can be an immediate to do. So what positive energy can I bring into my business to attract success today? So what positive energy can I bring into my business? And if you're stuck in a state of negativity and you've been complaining and creating a lot of drama and you've been in this victim mindset, this will take more practice, because now you're going to need to reprogram yourself to go from victim to radical responsibility mindset. So just keep in mind the inner power formula. When you're practicing changing habits, you want to recognize, reframe, repeat to reprogram. And the repeat to reprogram part takes longer if you're more stuck in a certain way of being. So for example, when I told you what happened to me when I started entrepreneurship, that was in my 30s, 40s, really, beginning of my 40s. And it was like, oh my God, I am a mess. I am very victim-minded. I blame everyone else for my reality. And so, I'm 40 years into that habit. So it didn't change overnight, and it changed quickly enough for me to go from food stamps to 6 figures in my business to now be super happily married, to work with my husband, to be great friends with my ex-husband, to have a life and a business that I love. So it didn't take a long time. It didn't take 40 years to undo. It didn't take the same amount of time that it took to get into that state, right? So I want to give you some inspiration there and know that you can change yourself pretty quickly with conscious, radical responsibility. It is 100% possible for you to radically transform yourself, become radically responsible, and get completely different outcomes very quickly. So just do what I'm saying here. So let's recap the 3 reasons why radical responsibility manifests business success fast. Number 1, radical responsibility means you are aligned with universal laws. Number 2, radical responsibility reframes judgment of shame, guilt, fear, and anger. And number 3, radical responsibility creates an energy of positive magnetism. Yeah, so when you become radically responsible, you get to consciously and deliberately create your reality, attract success towards you, and keep on that upward spiral growth of awesomeness in your business, where you attract and magnetize money, opportunities, and success quickly. And it feels deep down good. Oh yeah. All right. For more journaling questions like today's, go to lawofattractionforentrepreneurs.com and get your free 7-day trial of my program. It will radically change your life and cause you to drop your victim-mindedness and step into that state of radical responsibility that we're talking about. Until next time, I'm sending you giant hugs and inner power high fives.